Hi guys, so I've got another sword review for you, and just before I get on with that, a brief introduction about myself. For those who don't know, I am a HEMA instructor, so Historical European Martial Arts instructor. I am one of them at Basingstoke HEMA, and I am also a professional illustrator that specialises in military history. So, I have here the 1570 Federschwert from Kvetun. So, this is the sword. Federschwert is a training sword, particularly for longsworders, and the Federschwert itself was used throughout the 15th century and 16th century as a training weapon, basically. So, we have here a list of things that I just want to go through. I've got a lot to talk about this because this sword in particular and its model and the predecessor to it as well, because I have used this for a very long time, and it's been used very well, so I've got a good opinion about this. Now, meaning that it's the 1570 version, sort of based on Joachim Meyer's stuff, but really, if you look at his illustrations and the feather that he uses in that, is very basic looking. However, in itself, yeah, I mean, you know, this could very well have been something that would have been around in the 1570s or even anywhere in the 16th century in general. You know, the finish and make of it is definitely a 16th century design. So, yeah. But if you wanted to look at Joachim Meyer's 1570 treatise, you've got the colour version. There's the black and white version as well. So yeah, definitely look at that as like a little side note of what this sword is actually really based upon. So okay, right. So the base price is €350. However, depending on the tip that you have, that will change. You know, you'll add €20 if you wanted. Ooh, I'm hitting things. If you wanted a spatulated tip or a rounded tip. However, the standard version comes with the rolled tip, which is no extra price. That will stay at €350. But it'll be 370 if you wanted a spatulated or rounded tip. However, I would personally stick with this rounded tip for competition purposes. A lot of competitions or people that run competitions usually prefer the rounded tip because it's safer for thrusting, and the types of tip cuts that you can get with a spatulated tip can do a little bit more damage than a rolled tip. So this model in particular comes with 1 year warranty. We'll talk about that later. The hardness Rockwell of the blade, not the crossguard or the pommel, I believe the crossguard and pommel are different materials, but the blade itself is a hardness Rockwell of 47 to 50. The type of steel that this is a 60 C2A. Now, I'm not a metallurgical, I don't specialize in that, and I'm not an expert in it either. So you could take that with what you will. For those who do know a bit more about metallurgy and things like that, there you go. You've got the ratings there. It's also on the website as well, so you can look at that. But I'll go through all the dimensions now. So the weight of it says on the website 1,643 grams, which is very specific. That'll change. You know, if you order this and you get it and it's 1,639 grams, it's not really going to make a massive difference. So yeah, let's measure this or weigh this. Bear in mind that my grip has changed because I'll talk about that later. So it would add a little bit of weight to this. And mine says 1,650, 640 something. I need to get a better better scales, but this is around 1650 grams, which is fine. You know, that's added another 7 grams to the what it says on the website. Fine by me. That's a weight in itself is pretty damn good. The predecessor model to this was 1830 grams, which is insane for a longsword. You know, that's quite a heavy sword. I know that swords in general throughout history changed in weight, but that's on the higher end, 1800. So they've reduced the weight on this model, which is great, and actually makes a more swifter blade. The point of balance says 3 centimeters. Okay, I would imagine that's 3 centimeters from the crossguard. And considering I've added a little bit of weight to the... I should have got this out beforehand, shouldn't I? Let's put this down and actually get this out and measure this properly. So it's saying 30 centimeters, and I say that would be from the crossguard. A little extra. I would say it's about, and I've got added weight to the grip, so I'd say it's about 6 centimeters, not 3. Depending on, this might be you know, because they changed this quite a lot. The model of this might be just a little bit more weighted on the end here. But I would say it's about 5 to 6 centimeters from the crossguard, not 3 centimeters. Total length is 1 meter and 35 centimeters, so 1350 millimeters. Bang on, yeah, pretty much. Blade length of 1 meter. I mean, if I'm going to be really pedantic, I would say that's 99 centimeters and 8 millimeters. It's basically a meter. Again, like I said, the measurements might vary ever so slightly, millimeters in fact. And the grip is 34. I would imagine, by judging this is including the pommel. It is including the pommel. So the actual grip itself is about 27 centimeters, maybe just under. But really, when you hold this sword, you're going to be holding it at the base of the pommel, which is included into the grip, really, unless you want to be holding it like that, which I don't particularly think that many people will. I always hold my sword towards the end, just because it handles nicely and it fits there. It's just the way I've always done it. So yeah, what else have we got? Grip length, yeah, cross guard of 28 centimeters, which is not far off from what the grip, excluding the pommel. It's a bit more than, it's about 28.5 centimeters. You have an option of a leather or corded grip. I have a little bit to say that in a sec when I review on what I think after a year of using this. And a production time of a month and a half. So this is a replacement, so I didn't get this up on, I got this under a month and a half, and the production I got previous to this sword, it took, yeah, it was about a month and a half actually, 6 weeks, it's a good amount of time, and then the postage after that, it took bloody ages, months, but that's because of other factors, not because of Kvetun. So yeah, the look of the sword and the shaping of it, it is in general a very nice looking Federschwert. The crossguard in itself is very well decorated. We've got the central sort of ridges here, which are very well, made. They look very nice, very decorative. In fact, the terminals of the quillons look very nice as well, and to be fair, safer because they flare out, which is nice. The grip I've done myself. The pommel is nice, very standard scented scent stop pommel, and the peening on it is very nice finish. The previous version I had to this was wasn't very nice. It's like very poorly hammered on. Didn't look very nice. This is a very nice finish on this, so very good. Okay, the blade. So we've got plenty of distal taper and tapering within the width of the blade and the thickness of the blade, resulting in a very nice bend when you thrust. So that flex, it's very nice, and obviously it goes back to true again. I have used this for just under a year, and the amount of thrusts and cuts and stuff that I've done with this, and it's remained straight ever since. Very nice. So the durability of it, well, apart from the grip, everything else you can do all kinds of stuff with. Apart from one thing I'll say in a sec. We have a fuller going from the base of the blade, right on the crossguard, going all the way down to the end here, resulting in a very nice stiff blade. However, that flex is in a very nice position because that flex is in the second third really of the blade. Middle third, it does a bit of flex and doesn't flex much at all in this base first third here. So the last third, plenty of flex. Second third, bit of flex, and the first third, hardly any flex at all. So you're resulting in a very good blade that handles well because of the weight distribution of the blade. The fuller gives it a stiffness that is good enough, but not too wobbly. You can wobble it if you want to, but it's stiff. When you move this around and you're swinging it, you can feel the presence of the blade. It's not going to be floppy or swishy, so it stays in nice and rigid. So I like that. Yeah, so generally a nice looking Federschwert, and the only thing that has changed since is the grip. Yeah, I'll pick it up again just to say that I have changed the grip, because when I got this, I think within the first spar or the second fight or something like that, I got a hit on the base here, and the whole thing unraveled. It's a corded grip, all unraveled really quickly, and it all came off. Yeah, and that is not very good. The type of cord they use wasn't very durable, and it got crushed and it cut and separated from the grip, the handle itself, and just started unraveling. And you don't want that. You want something that's going to be durable and something that's going to take a few hits. So apart from, well, that is pretty much the only downside of this blade, is the cord that they use. It's not very good at all. You need something that's going to be durable. So I rewrapped this with a cord that I know is durable, because I've used this particular cord on a different Feder. And apart from getting hit a few times, which is going to happen on the lower end of the grip, you're always going to get hit there at some point, and it's going to take damage. But you want something that's going to take a few hits before it starts to fray or whatever, which is a bit of a shame really, because Kvetun are high-end company and they're very good. So using this after just under a year, more to be honest, because I had a Federschwert before this that was the same. It was a 1570 Federschwert, but a different model of this. Like I said before, the previous model was 1830 grams, the weight distribution was different, the type of blade was different, so they've obviously improved on this particular model of the 1570 quite a bit. I don't think I would have been able to use the other one in competition. So what happened to that? Last February, I think, yes, last February, after having it for a year, hence the warranty, it actually broke and snapped completely straight from the base of the blade. In fact, I think it broke on the tang, high end onto the shoulder of the blade. That shouldn't happen at all. So I think I had not a faulty product, but something that shouldn't have really happened. Maybe the heat treatment was something happened. Maybe the grain on that particular area of the where it was a weak spot, and after a while it just. To be fair, it was interesting because it was ringing nicely. I mean, to be fair, this sword rings really well when you bind and you cut into another blade. It rings really well, and when I was using this in my sparring, the previous version of this, it was ringing fine, and then I just took a normal parry, and the whole thing just basically came off and fell on the floor. I was surprised about that. I was I was like, oh, that shouldn't happen. So I ordered this from Tempest Fugitives, and I spoke to Jay Maxwell, and I said, look, what happened? And I sent him some photos. He's like, yeah, that shouldn't really happen. Send me the blade, and I'll get it sent off to Kvetun and get you a replacement. Very positive on that. I did say, look, this is February, and it was just on the cusp of the end of the warranty, maybe a few days after the warranty, in fact. Because I bought this February of the previous year, when I moved into this house, and I got it. I'll put some videos of me unboxing it because I was very excited about the previous, Feder, and yeah, I got that, and after a year, I was still a good sword. I wanted to review it actually, but I never got the time to do it in the end because I was trying to do some silly animation in the intro, and it never really worked out because I didn't have the time to do a full animation of it, of that silly little intro. But in the end, I didn't make a review about it, and then it broke after a year. And if you remember last year, what happened in February and where Kvetun is based in Russia, and what happened in February, Russia decided to invade Ukraine. Well, the Russian government and army decided to invade Ukraine, and Kvetun were like, nope, and moved to Georgia. So the fact that Kvetun had moved to Georgia in February, I got this particular sword in, I think it was around March or something like that. Yeah, it was like late March. So I was surprised. I was expecting months and months before I got anything because Kvetun had to set up shop. They needed to get a new location and, and then start making the swords again if they could. I think, to be honest, they've done a great job in moving. I got this very quickly, so the postage was very good as well. That came very quickly as well, compared to the previous one that had loads of troubles. But that's not because of Kvetun. That's because of the postage itself had a little trouble. But this particular blade came very quickly. I was surprised how quick it was. I didn't expect that. Because I got myself another Feder, and then I got that, and a couple of days later I was like, oh, I've got a notification about another blade coming. I was like, what? And I asked Jay, and I was Jay Maxwell, and I was like, oh, I've got another. Would this be the replacement for the Kvetun 1570? And he was like, oh, it probably is. I was like, wow, that's bloody quick, all considering the fact that they've moved to a different country, set up shop, and started making more swords. But oh well. So since then, since February, apart from that grip, I've had no issues at all. I've used this in competitions. It's great for competitions because of the fact that it's got a nice thick edge, so there's no burrs at all. I've used this for, yeah, like I said, just under a year, and I've been, doing this. I have never ever had to file down anything with this blade, ever. I have had to with other blades. This one in particular, no. Because of the shape of the blade edge, is nice and thick, so it can take really hard parries. The rolled tip is great for competitions. The thickness of the points of the shilts are nicely rounded, good for competitions, because some, say Wessex, have banned as particularly type of shilt that's quite pointy, and if you're going to end up grabbing the shilt like that, that's going to hurt or do some damage. I mean, or if you shove the way it rides up, you could hit somebody. But this is nicely rounded on the shilt here, so that's good for competitions. Like I said earlier, the termination of the quillons, the way they're shaped, actually makes it safer. The pommel is nicely rounded. You can do pommel strikes if you're allowed to do that in competitions, which is fine. The flex of the blade, like I said, it flexes in a good portion of the end of the blade, and it will flex if you thrust. However, it stays nice and stiff, so good for the bind. However, flexible enough for competition, so it's nice and safe. It's not going to do any damages. I mean, yeah, like, so if you ended up doing like a murder stroke or something like that, or really went in with half swording and shoved it in somebody's ribs, you're going to be hurting somebody, or damaging ribs. But if you're going to do a good, simple thrust, it's nice and safe, as long as they're wearing a plaster on. Yeah, I have not much else to talk about. I've used this in competitions. I use this twice, if not 3 times a week. So after just under a year, I've used this plenty of times. I would say if you're going to get this, look after it. This is for any feather or blade, that you get that you use in HEMA. I've seen plenty of people have quite rusty blades, and you're just like, why are you doing that to yourself? You've spent probably over 200 euros, if not more. 300 euros on a blade that you've just let go rusty. You should always look after your blades. Give it a good polish, every couple of weeks. Make sure there's no burrs. In this case, I've never had any burrs at all. The crossguard in itself has taken quite a hefty few blows. You can see that it's got dents on it. However, it hasn't dented enough to be worrisome, or the crossguard hasn't bent much. I mean, it's got a very slight bend on this quillon here. I could hammer that back down if I wanted to, but to be fair, that's not really going to do much in terms of the structure. The durability is fine. It still rings well, as if it's new. The fitting, the tightness of it, if you look at I might do a close-up shot of this, but the fitting of the crossguard, between the crossguard and the grip and blade in itself, is just so tight. It is finished excellently. It's maybe a very slight gap here, but even then, I've seen much larger gaps in other blades. It is fitted and constructed very well. Like I said as well, with the pommel, it's pinned down quite nicely as well. Good finish. So yeah, there you go. The 1570 Federschwert. Yeah, definitely go for it if you can. If this is your first Feder, fine, great. This is your second, third, fourth Feder, you're going to be down for really good product here. So definitely, if you are looking for a Feder or shopping for one in particular, definitely have this in mind. It's great, handles well, it lasts a long time, apart from the grip. The geometry, the finish, the shaping, the decoration are just really nice. So all in all, a very good Federschwert, and I really recommend you have a look at this if you're looking to buy another Federschwert. I'll leave it there, otherwise I could go on forever and ever about this Feder in particular. I have more Feders to review in the future. I've got a Siggyforge Feder to review. I've got a Reginier Sabre to review. I've got a Bellatore Rapier to review. I've also got a parrying dagger that I can review as well. So I've got plenty more to do. Regarding the flag videos that I've done, I do want to do more, and I probably will do, because that's a lot of fun to do. I've got a lot of comments in the Kosovo video. Got very political very quickly, but that's not related to HEMA really. That's another topic. So yeah, I'll leave it there, and have a good day, and I shall catch you guys on the next one. Cheers, folks.